I think that you have a message that you impart about the importance of a proper coil, the proper backswing. And if you wouldn't mind, I would love to start there because we hear so much about a full shoulder turn, right? To a point that it almost sounds like cliche as I say, yeah, it's got to be a full shoulder turn. And you were explaining that brings it back too flat and that the coil has to be there. Could you explain that to us in your words of what you try to impart to people as a building block?
Well, because I slipped a disc when I was 21 and was out of the game for 2 years, I had to study what the anatomy and, how you actually avoided injuries mainly. And that's when I came up many, many years ago with the idea of the spiral staircase. Because everything in the world grows spirally. The trees grow spirally, the grass grows spirally, everything's spiral, even the baby in the womb grows spiral. So it's a natural element of the growth. So what I looked at is how to spiral, or in other words, coil correctly. So it obviously has to work from the ground upwards. And one of the funny things that I always say to kids, does a horse pull a cart or does it push it? And what's the answer? The answer is they always say pull it. I said, well, where does it get its strength from to pull the cart? It's stationary, it's got a harness around its chest, it has to push into the ground, the chest pushes against the harness, which pulls the cart. And then we get into it even further, and I say, does a car pull a trailer or does it push it? And they all say, oh, it pulls the trailer. I said, no, it doesn't. It's actually, the engine pushes the power into the wheels push into the ground, and then eventually the car moves, which pulls the trailer. So it's a push fractionally before a pull. So in the spiral, you're pushing into the ground and you're pulling against the ground in a spiral way, and that's why I call it the spiral staircase. It works from the left foot up into the right side and it coils properly. And then I ask players, how do you load your shoulders for a fade or a draw? And sometimes I don't get the right answer because they never even thought of how the shoulders work to create that part of the spiral. And it's the last part of the spirals, because your shoulders spiral up correctly for a fade or correctly for a draw. And the shoulders loading properly work the body properly as well. So I call it a spiral staircase, but it's the biggest coil you can create across your body.
And is there something that you recommend to people to try to get that feel of what this coil should be so that they're not swaying?
Yeah, I mean, there's exercises I get them to do all the time, and I always say the actual coil is you push from your left foot to your right ankle, your left ankle to your right shin, your left shin to your right knee, your left shin, and you can almost see the coil going up the body all the way through. And you can do that, and I give them an exercise where they stand with good posture, push the fingers into a position where they're going to feel the ground with the fingers, although they're not touching the ground, and then the feet work, and then the shoulders coil the hands and arms up to the top. It's a what I call the spiral exercise, which is, if I was going to do one exercise for the rest of my life, that's the one I would do.